I'm delighted to be joined by an outstanding panel of experts whose expertise spans family studies, education, digital policy, and social development. Allow me to introduce our distinguished panelists. Dr. Said al-Rabai, Director of the Center of Excellence in Teaching and Learning at UAE University, where he leads initiatives focused on AI, digital innovation, and the integration of emerging technologies in education. Dr. Brian Welby, Professor of Family Life at Brigham Young University, an internationally recognized researcher whose work focuses on family relationship, young adult development, and the impact of technology on family life. Mr. David Lazaro is the Director of IDRAK at Queen Rania Foundation, leading educational initiatives that empower millions of learners across the Arab region through digital learning and innovation. Thank you all for being with us today. Before we begin our panel discussion, we are honored and delighted to begin today's session with a featured address by Dr. Fatma Al-Hammadi. Dr. Fatma Al-Hammadi is a head of the Youth Skills and Capabilities Development Department at the Family Development Foundation and a leading Emirati expert in youth empowerment, family well-being, and social development. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Fatma Al-Hammadi. Fatma, the floor is yours.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدني ويشرفني أني أكون في هذا المقام اليوم معكم أمام نخبة من المستشارين والخبراء لنتناقش في موضوع جدا مهم، وهو الذكاء الاصطناعي وبناء أسر متوازنة في ظل هذا التحول الرقمي الذي يشهده العالم اليوم. طبعا لا شك أن الجميع يعلم بما يشهده العالم من التحول الرقمي المتسارع، وأنا على يقين أن جميع الحاضرين على اطلاع بما شهدته دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة من قفزات متميزة في موضوع التحول الرقمي المتسارع، وهذا ما جعلها في مقدمة التقارير الدولية، وأهمها من أهم المؤشرات التي حققتها دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة أنها حصلت على المرتبة التاسعة عالميا والمرتبة الأولى إقليميا في تقرير التنافسية الرقمية العالمي لعام 2025، وأيضا حصولها على المركز الأول عالميا في مؤشر البنية التحتية للاتصالات لعام 2024 ضمن تقرير الأمم المتحدة. لكن اليوم حبينا نسلط أكثر على الإنجازات التي صارت في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة ضمن التحول الرقمي في الخدمات الحكومية التي ننجزها يوميا في كل أسرة وكل بيت. كل فرد فينا أصبح في دولة الإمارات يتعامل مع هذه الأجهزة لإنجاز المعاملات، سواء كانت معاملات يومية، صحية، تسجيل مواعيد مستشفيات، أبسط الأمور التي نحتاجها لتعزيز جودة حياتنا أصبحت الآن متاحة ضمن جميع الأسر في دولة الإمارات. لكن هذا التحول الرقمي اليوم أظهر لنا بعض التحديات التي طرأت على أنماط العلاقات في الأسرة الإماراتية خاصة. أصبحت الأسرة الإماراتية التي كانت تعتاد على التواصل والتجمع في وقت الوجبات والتواصل المباشر أصبحت مشتتة نوعا ما، أصبحت العلاقات معقدة. ربما شهدنا أهمية العالم الرقمي والتقنيات في أثناء جائحة كورونا، والكثير من الدراسات أجريت في هذه الفترة وأثبتت أهمية التقنيات الحديثة في تعزيز الترابط الأسري في تلك الفترة. لكن هل هذا الترابط الأسري أصبح أكثر قوة وأكثر متانة بعد انتهاء هذه الجائحة؟ لا، أصبحنا يعني نستطيع أن نتواصل بشكل مباشر، لكن لا نتواصل. لدينا الأجهزة، لدينا الأجهزة المتطورة في كل بيت، لكن أصبح الجانب الإنساني والجانب العاطفي مفقود. فلهذا السبب نحن اليوم نريد معاكم أن احنا نركز على بعض التحديات الأسرية التي تواجه الأسرة في هذه البيئة الرقمية. أهمها هي فقدان السيطرة على مصادر التأثير. أصبح الأب والأم ليس هم المصدر الرئيسي في التأثير على الأبناء، وليس هم أساس التربية والتنشئة الاجتماعية. أصبحت هناك مؤسسات أخرى تساعد، أهمها التقنيات الحديثة. أصبح الأب والأم اللذان كانوا يتوقعون أن أنا مصدر زرع القيم لأبنائي، أصبح هناك مصدر آخر لزرع القيم، وربما بتأثير أقوى من تأثيري، وربما بتأثير أقوى. فنحن اليوم أمام تحدي فقدان السيطرة على مصادر التأثير. عندنا الفجوة الرقمية بين الأجيال، هناك أجيال متعددة في الأسرة. هل أنا كأب نفس مستوى المعرفة الرقمية مثل ابني وبنتي؟ هل الجد والجدة بنفس المستوى؟ لا. عندنا الإدمان الرقمي وتشتت الانتباه صارت مشكلة عامة وظاهرة في جميع البيوت، مما يستدعي أيضا التدخلات الصحية في هذا الجانب. عندنا أيضا تحدي اضطراب الهوية والقيم بسبب كثرة تدفق المحتوى المتنوع في عقول أبنائنا. أصبح الانتماء القيمي لهم مشتت. هل أنا أسمع ما يغرس داخل هذه الأسرة أم ما يعرض علي في هذا العالم الرقمي؟ وأيضا هناك تحديات أخرى متعلقة بالخصوصية والأمان الرقمي، يمكن المتحدثين بيطرحونها بشكل أعمق، وجودة العلاقات العاطفية، وانتشار الثقافة الصورية والتصنع والتباهي لدى أبنائنا والجيل اليوم. هي مشكلة لازم ننظر لها بعين الاعتبار، وضعف ثقافة التربية الرقمية لدى من؟ لدينا إحنا كآباء وأمهات. هل أنا على مستوى من الثقافة اللي قادر أحمي أبنائي أو أثقفهم في هذا الجانب؟ ما أعتقد كلنا قادرين. نحن أمام تحول وذاهبين نحو دولة ذكاء اصطناعي في عام 2071. هل نحن جاهزين لهذا المستقبل؟ ما أعتقد. محتاجين أن نحن نناقش هذا كأسر قبل أن نكون كخبراء ومستشارين. اسمحوا لي أطرح عليكم نموذج مؤسسة التنمية الأسرية اللي اشتغلت عليه خلال 4 سنوات في موضوع التحول الرقمي. مؤسسة التنمية الأسرية في أبو ظبي أنشئت في عام 2006، وبقرار من صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان رئيس الدولة أصبحت 80% من اختصاصها تركيز على كبار السن. فهذا السبب استدعى أن احنا ندرس دراسات ميدانية احتياجات كبار السن في هذه المناطق على مستوى إمارة أبو ظبي. لدينا 16 مركز في إمارة أبو ظبي تغطي جميع المناطق. بدينا ندرس هذه الفئة ووصلنا لعدد من التحديات اللي خاصة بكبار السن، ونظرنا لها بعين الاعتبار ووضعنا لها الخطط والبرامج التي تعالج هذه التحديات. أهم التحديات اللي واجهناها وأكبر مشكلة ذكرناها هي الفجوة الرقمية بين الأجيال، تفاوت المهارات بين أفراد الأسرة، وأيضا عندنا الإرهاق والضغط التقني لدى كبير السن. تعقيد التطبيقات، تقول له استخدم هذا التطبيق لحجز موعد طبي، لا يعرف. ينزل تطبيق أجدد منه، ينزل فيرجن أحدث، فهو يحس بالإرهاق والضغط النفسي أني أنا في عزلة رقمية عن هذا العالم. تراجع جودة التفاعل المباشر وربما انعدامه. انعدام التواصل بين الأجيال، بين الأطفال، بين جيل الشباب وبين كبار السن في هذه الأسر، وجدناه بنسب ضعيفة جدا. بدراسات واقعية ميدانية أعطتنا مؤشر أن احنا لازم ننظر لهذا التحدي. ليش؟ حفاظا على القيم. من يزرع القيم كان في الأسرة غير الأجداد، هم مصدر القيم، فنحن لازم نراجع هذا التحدي بشفافية. أيضا عندنا مخاطر الأمان الرقمي. كبار السن اليوم معرضين لمخاطر كثيرة في هذا العالم. تقول له نزل تطبيق البنك، لكن ما يعرف يستخدمه بأمان، ما يعرف يتعامل مع البيانات الشخصية بأمان، فهم معرضين للانتهاك وللاحتيال الإلكتروني بسهولة. نحن كمؤسسة التنمية الأسرية درسنا هذه التحديات، وارتأينا أن نحاول أن نحن نمكن الأبناء والأحفاد من مساعدة كبار السن في الوصول إلى هذا العالم بسلاسة بطريقة مباشرة. شو سوينا؟ عملنا على تأهيل سفراء من كل بيت، كل أسرة لديهم أبناء وشباب، جمعناهم في خلال 4 سنوات، اشتغلنا على إعادة تأهيلهم، كيف تتعامل مع أبوك مع جدك، عشان تعلمه كيف يتعامل مع هذه التقنيات. وقبل ما نطلق هذه الخدمة طلعنا على نماذج عالمية في هذا المجال، كانت من دولة الصين وماليزيا وإيطاليا. كانت عندهم برامج خاصة بتدريب الشباب لكبار السن، وأطلقنا خدمة اسمها خدمة التأهيل الرقمي. هي خدمة تستخدم تأهيل الشباب على دعم كبار المواطنين أو كبار السن في مجال العالم الرقمي، وكيف يحمون خصوصيتهم في هذا المجال. يمكن الوقت ما يسعفنا أن احنا نستعرض الكل. المؤشرات الكمية كانت خلال هذه السنوات، قدرنا نوصل أو نأهل مشاركين. عدد المشاركين 8949 مشارك كان في هذه الخدمة، ممن يرعون كبار السن في هذه البيوت، ومن خلال 16 مركز مجتمعي ومراكز افتراضية أيضا. واستهدفنا الفئة العمرية 55 فأعلى، فكان الرضا العام عن المستوى مؤشرات ذات أثر اجتماعي عالي ولله الحمد. وطلعنا بتوصيات استراتيجية من خلال هذه التجربة، أن احنا نحتاج نمكن تمكين رقمي متعدد المستويات، ما نركز فقط على فئة ونترك فئة ثانية. عشان نوصل للتوازن في محيط الأسرة يجب أن نهتم بالتمكين لكافة أفراد الأسرة. نفعل دور الأبناء والأجداد بالأحفاد بطريقة فعالة، ونصون القيم والهوية الوطنية من خلال أن احنا نحافظ على مسؤوليتنا في هذا العالم ونحمي خصوصيتنا، وتواصل إيجابي بين الأجيال من خلال برامج مشتركة تفاعلية بين الصغار وبين الجيل الأكبر، ومبادرات مشتركة حكومية تدعم هذا الجانب، وخاصة الابتكار الاجتماعي في مجال الرقمنة الأسرية. وأخيرا تقليص الفجوة الرقمية من خلال برامج متخصصة ومؤشرات نوعية تقيس التطور والتقدم في هذا الدعم لكبار السن. في النهاية نحن جميعا مسؤولين أن احنا نتشارك مع بعض ونتحاور لحتى نصل إلى أسر متوازنة تصون القيم والعادات والتقاليد في هذه الدولة. شكرا لكم على حسن.
Thank you, Dr. Fatma. Thank you very much, Dr. Fatma. Thank you for your valuable insights, and we appreciate your contribution for our discussion today. Building on the highlights that Dr. Fatma has mentioned, we will now move to our discussion panel. As parenting continues to evolve in this rapidly changing digital landscape, so the role of parenting goes beyond limiting the screen time for the children. This brings me to our first question. How are AI and social media reshaping parenting roles, communication patterns, and family relationships today? Dr. Brian, perhaps we can begin with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think one of the big things that's changed is parental monitoring has changed a lot. We always have known that parents need to monitor their children and monitor what they're doing and who they're talking to. And one of the big things that digital media and social media and AI has done, it's now requiring a whole new set of skills of parents when it comes to monitoring. Part of that is because the boundaries we used to put in our homes used to be more external. You had to watch what your children were doing when they left your home, who they were hanging out with, where they were going. But these digital platforms, social media and AI, are bringing things into our home. And so now parents have to be much more vigilant and monitoring with what their children are doing inside their own home, inside their own rooms. It's requiring a different set of skills for parents. And a lot of parents don't necessarily have the experience with these digital technologies to know how best to monitor them.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. This is very interesting. Dr. Mr. David, would you like to elaborate on what Dr. Brian mentioned? Or
Yeah, of course. I think Dr. Brian actually covered the topic efficiently, and if I were to add anything, I would say only as a note of advice is to then take the next step within the household and emphasize communication, because as many parents no doubt feel that they are 2 or 3 or 10 steps behind their own children when it comes to the use of technology and what that brings into the household, and then what that sort of brings to the table for discussion, or in many cases what it doesn't bring to the table for discussion.
Yeah.
So what is learned through a screen or learned through a television or learned through an app that ultimately doesn't make it to the dinner table or to the family discussion, but still becomes a presence in the house nonetheless. And I feel that that represents a bit of a bridge that should be constructed that many times doesn't get constructed between the parents, between other people who live in the household and their children. Maybe to refer back a few decades in the past, the idea of putting your child in front of the TV or to watch a movie wasn't something that we necessarily questioned, because the idea was, if it's on the TV, somebody checked it out, somebody agreed that this information was okay for a 6-year-old to see, so I don't necessarily need to intervene my own thought process so much into it. Nowadays, that filter has largely disappeared. One, because the technology has intervened at such a young age, let's say. We see lots of young children with iPads, tablets, sometimes phones, and that sort of filtration system where we used to assume, well, if it's on the TV, then it's okay, somebody checked it out, it no longer exists. And so the parent now has this additional task beyond just feeding you, clothing you, putting a house over your head, checking on the schoolwork, making sure you have your play dates, to say, well, also, what are you looking at? Do I need to also learn all of these parental controls and all these settings and all these passwords and whatnot? So I would maybe just, again, emphasize the idea of communication, even though that often becomes an awkward topic, because you're going to be covering topics that are not always comfortable. Maybe you feel it's a bit early to be talking about such a thing, but the applications, the presence of access to technology isn't necessarily going to wait for that for you.
yes. Thank you so much, Dr. David. We all agree that AI and social media become an integral part of our daily life, and which creates both opportunities and challenges. So this takes me to our second question. What are the key challenges families face in raising children in an increasingly digital AI-driven environment? Dr. Said, from your expertise in AI and digital transformation, what do you see as a significant challenge families face today?
Thank you so much, Dr. Lina. I will start from the other position, that I'm associate professor at the Department of Information Systems and Security. So I will start with the main problem that we know from the security perspective, that whenever the technology becomes advanced, the number of attacks will be increased. Because in that area, so we're gonna be exposed to the adversaries and the bad guys to attack us. So one of them really main challenging, it's about our children generally, they receive some cyberbullying, some bad guys with bad intention, but they may not reveal this to the parents. And then they may think what's happening could be normal, or that abuse, it happens, and that maybe it will lead to other problems or other things. So one of the main challenges that we need really to increase the cybersecurity awareness for parents and children. And as what Mr. David mentioned about the parents, sometimes they may use some software to control what the children they watch or they do. The problem, according to a recent study, was done by a team in Canada, 80 of the parental control software are vulnerable. Means the attacker can attack parents while they control the children. And that's very serious, meaning they are not only attack children, they attack parents as well. So it's it's worth mentioning that here in UAE, the Cyber Security Council, where the head is His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti, the good things, they have a platforms and they always release videos and to increase the awareness. So I think we need really to play an important role in this, to increase the awareness. That's one. Now, second, before the AIs, we were caring about, our children, they stay hours in TVs or hours in monitors. Now it's not about the stay hours, now about what they watch and what they learn. Because they may learn false things or they may learn something, mislead them. So that's very important that parents, they need really to sit with them and see what they watch, what they do, what they learn. And the other things we need also to let them know, AI doesn't know everything. So for example, my daughter, she's 6 years old. She come to me and she asked me about one thing. Honestly, I don't know the answer. She told me, ask ChatGPT.
Yes.
ChatGPT knows everything.
Now the information is just a click away.
Exactly. So I think that's another thing. So we need really to let them know what they can get, what they can learn, which one is good, which one is bad. And finally, as Dr. Fatma, our distinguished speaker, she mentioned, we have different levels of knowledge about AI. Fathers, mother, grandfather. So how we can really work on digital literacy or AI literacy. I think that's another
This is
challenge.
very important.
Exactly. And it's very important to mention that the Ministry of Education here, they start to have courses for our students at schools, which is very good. I mean, they start even teach them about deepfake, that's another challenge. You don't know, is this video real or fake?
Yeah,
that's another problem. We really need to find maybe accurate methods or technologies to distinguish this is fake, this is real.
Yes. Yep. We need to ensure that we are fostering the computer literacy
exactly.
and for our children in order to be aware or in order they will be able to distinguish between the reliable information, or we can encourage them not to share any private information or passwords or something spacious information. So
exactly.
I think we need also to create discussion with the children.
Yep.
From my point of view, I think we have to create free screen zones or times which in the dinner or in the meals, or encourage also outside activities that will make more discussions to make our children aware of all the disadvantages of the digital world. Okay, beyond technology, many parents are concerned about preserving their values and identity. This brings me to our third question. How can parents effectively balance digital engagement with the preservation of cultural identity and family values? Dr. Brian, perhaps we can start with you.
Yeah. I think first off, it's important, in addition to this discussion we've had about cybersecurity and misinformation, to also understand that one of the other challenges for parents with digital media is they serve as digital distractions when it comes to things like cultural identity and faith traditions. They distract our children away from some of these things. But as we've already talked about, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about in this conference, we can, as parents, utilize these technologies for good. and we can utilize them to strengthen faith traditions and cultural identity. Part of that is parents need to understand how these technologies work. Many of them are algorithm based. One of the things I talk to parents all the time is, do you know your children's algorithm? Do you know what social media and AI is feeding back to them? One of the things I think parents and families can do is to utilize that algorithm-based formula for good and say, as a family, can we have a shared algorithm? Can we follow the same social media sites? Can we ask ChatGPT the same types of questions so that we have an algorithm that is creating a positive feedback loop, that is strengthening our faith traditions, strengthening our cultural identity, utilizing those technologies to benefit our family? I think we'll have more success than if we say we're just going to cut our kids off from these technologies, because they're going to use them in the absence of us as parents, as families, as thought leaders, utilizing these technologies to strengthen these core values and strengthen our families. Then our children are left to their own devices. They're left to a broad algorithm that will probably feed them misinformation, that will probably feed them things that might distract them away from families, distract them away from cultural identity. And so I think that's one of the things that families can utilize, is to utilize social media, utilize AI, but utilize it to connect with positive sources, and then allow those positive sources to rejuvenate and echo what parents are hopefully already teaching in the home.
That's very interesting, and those were very valuable insights, Dr. Brian. One point I would like also to highlight, that while parents are supposed to be the role models for their children, most of the people, they rely on the digital applications and social connections, and then this is a challenge in itself, that once they should be a model, setting a model for their children. They themselves need to reduce their addiction to the social media. Let's go to our fourth question. What role do educational institutions and community organizations play in supporting effective digital parenting? Dr. Mariam, I would be interested in hearing your opinion on this issue.
Thank you, Dr. Lina, for this. I'm happy to, thank you for giving me opportunities to be here. I believe digital parenting cannot be responsible only by parents, only by families. Families need support from schools, community organizations, and society as a whole. Schools doing responsible, doing good rules in teaching digital literacy, critical thinking, online safety, and
Critical thinking, that
yeah.
everything they will believe,
Yeah.
questioning everything they will see on the internet.
Yeah, and also children also should learn not to just how to should learn not how to use technology only, but also how to I forget. Hey. Okay, I can speak Arabic. You can understand. Yeah. إن الأطفال مو بس يعتمدون على التكنولوجيا، لازم يكون يعني ياخذون يعني يكون أكثر تركيزهم
الناحية الاجتماعية،
هي الناحية الاجتماعية. وفي مجتمعنا يعني سبحان الله we are lucky إن في الإمارات عندنا كثير من الفعاليات، عندنا مثل المجالس، مثل الايفنتس، إن نقدر يعني جلساتنا حتى الجاذرينج مع إن بالعيد نجلس مع الأهل، برمضان، هاي كل المجالس إن تساعد إن تخلي يعني إن الاعتماد الأطفال ما تكون بس على شو اسمه على الاي اي، انه ياخذون المشوره منها ويكون عندهم يعني ما يكون بس اعتمادهم على هالاشياء. وشو بغيت اختم تقريبا هاي الافكار يعني.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mariam. Mr. David.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you allow me.
Sure, go
Yeah, you know, like like at our university, the UAE University, which is a governmental institution, and it's one of the largest universities in the country, exactly, we start to take some actions by having summer boot camps for school students and even their parents. So we ask them to come to the campus, and they're gonna have different workshops, hands-on workshops, how to deal ethically with AI, how to verify the outcomes, and how to use AI and not make AI to use you, which is very important. That's the problem. Another things, we have also a new definition of a clinic. We call it AI clinic. So that AI clinic, we make it available to our students and community. If anyone has question, has concern, has a problem, they can book with our specialists, and they can either online or in person come and seek for consultation or even seek for advices. And that's
Who will give the advices, the AI or the?
no, basically human experts. Yeah. So
Thank you
it's,
so much,
yeah,
Dr.
so it's
Stan.
very important. I mean, always the institution, they will play a very important role in community. I mean,
Supporting the family
exactly,
also
exactly. Yeah.
enhance the awareness of the children and
True.
literacy. Allow me, Dr. David, through IDRAK engagement with millions of learners and families across the Arab region, what role can it play in supporting both parents and children in developing healthier digital habits?
Oh, it's such a good question. Thank you. So just to start in brief, if anybody hasn't heard about IDRAK, IDRAK is based in Jordan, but it is an online learning platform that was announced, or was an initiative of Her Majesty Queen Rania of Jordan. We started our work 11 years ago. We have more than 10 million users. All of our content, more than 300 courses, is available online in Arabic by Arab subject matter experts, and then issues credentials and certificates. Now, how does this support that model? As a parent, with all of the availability of technology within or without the household, you start to ask, okay, whatever you're absorbing, you're learning from it. Whether it's factual or erroneous, you are bringing it in and you are deciding if it's going to be something that you live by, if it's part of your value set. IDRAK, as a publicly available learning resources, all the courses are for free, are underpinned by subject matter experts from their fields of study and are accredited by ministries of education, ministries of labor, ministries of higher education, kind of depending on which country and context we work in. This is a trusted source of credentialing and learning and skills development that is recognized and used throughout the Middle East and North Africa region. So our delivery model was not necessarily built from the beginning to sort of tackle like the examination of the quality of learning, but it's become that in the future in the sense that it is certified, it is accredited, it is broadly adopted and widely used throughout the region, and therefore it is a trusted source of information and learning. So when you're learning something there, you don't necessarily need to apply the same critical eye that you might to something that you see on an algorithm-based app that is designed to simply keep you on the app for longer. That's perhaps my best,
Very
yeah.
interesting, really.
Thank you.
So our discussion brings us to an important question, which is question number 5. How can we mitigate the negative impacts of social media on youth identity, formation, and mental well-being? This is a critical, really issue that we need to address today. Dr. Brian, let me turn to you first, please.
Yeah, I think any discussion about this starts with moderation in the home. We have so much research now on the potential mental health harms of social media and a lot of online platforms with children. Is parents need to stand up and put limits. We talk about that, but I think it's really key because so many homes don't have limits, and we see young children that are engaging with social media, engaging with online technologies and platforms at a young age, a key age for their development on all sorts of levels. So I think that's key. I think at a broader level, it's what we continue to talk about in this session, which is allowing all these great resources that AI tools and platforms and other online technologies can bring, and allowing them to supplement and enrich and not replace what's happening in the home. I think, as you said earlier, what is the role model that the parent is giving to the home? What is the parent doing with their own phone? What are the social media platforms that they're using? How often are they using them? I think it's critical, even more critical in today's age, that parents maintain their position as the primary educator of their children. That's critical for the education and development of their children. It's critical for faith traditions to maintain those traditions, for cultural identities to maintain those cultural identities and traditions and rituals within the home. And I think if parents utilize these tools, they're not scared by them, but they utilize them to supplement and enrich what they're doing in the home, that will allow them to be careful about how they utilize those technologies and when, and what their children have access to and when. They don't have to be scared of these technologies. I think so many times parents make social media, they make technologies the boogeyman, and so they just restrict, and they're so worried about all the content that's out there, which is a valid concern. There is a lot of misinformation. There is a lot of problematic and inappropriate content. But as parents and as families, as we can seek out the sources of good that are out there, because there are a lot of sources of good. Look at almost any faith tradition out there. They have all sorts of online material and learning material that's available to children and families. As we utilize those tools to enrich what we're doing in the home, I think that's going to be critical, so that we teach our children not to be afraid of technology. We teach them how to moderate their own use. We teach them how to utilize and find good information, to understand how to be good critical thinkers and think about how to value information and weigh information that I get online. All of those skills are going to be critical for children as they become adults, and we have to model and teach that as parents.
Thank you so much. So one important point to consider, as you highlighted, that parenting is not about shielding our children from technology, but it's how to equip them with the skills in order to know how to use it wisely and responsibly.
Yeah, exactly. There's a concept called cocooning, which is oftentimes associated with cocooning, where we just try to shelter and protect our children and put these walls up, and it doesn't work well.
Yes.
Proactive parenting, where we teach them these skills,
lead to secretive
is the yes, exactly.
Okay. Another growing concern, maybe we did not mention today, is the emotional impacts of the digital media, including the comparisons and social media isolation, which our children could be affected by. So maybe we can discuss it in the further ahead. As we move toward concluding our discussion, let's focus on practical solutions and future directions. Question number 6. What strategies can help build resilient families capable of adapting to technological and social change? We can start with Mr. David. Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'll start my answer here with, you can see on the screen behind us, we have all of our names and our job titles and whatnot, but everybody on this panel and everybody in this room was a former child, right? So all of us, we are all former children, right? So you could put like David Lazaro, former child. And it's been touched on, I think, a lot, particularly Dr. Brian has mentioned it, in emphasizing trust-based communication in the household, right? I feel that in many cases parents feel like they're so far behind the ball because basically they get their children ready in the morning, they send them off to school or to university or sometimes to work, and then they absorb all this stuff outside and they come back and they say, Mom, Dad, this is the way the world works. And you're like, well, no, hold on. Can we talk about this a little bit? Can we see about what you're interacting with? And I mean, I think we talked about sort of like a shared algorithm space, and some of those are equitable solutions that can realistically be implemented in a home. At the same time, all of us know within our families, with our parents, there have been those moments when we were growing up where we needed to have the uncomfortable conversation. You weren't ready for it. You didn't wake up that morning knowing it was going to happen, but it came all the same. And so the more that we invest in that infrastructure of saying, it's uncomfortable, it's a bit awkward, but we're going to talk about it and it's going to be okay, avoids that evasive, hidden behavioral layer that starts to develop saying, well, I know Mom or Dad are going to freak out if I come and ask them about X or Y, so I'm just not going to ask them. I'm going to go check my apps, I'm going to talk to my friends who have the same, or I'm going to talk to AI tools who are going to maybe work on my confirmation bias. And so I think that investing in that infrastructure in the family promotes. It's hardly ever perfect. It hardly ever feels good the first time it goes around, but it pays off its dividends in the long term because you have that stronger, more resilient and durable bond among the family members to say, we can talk about these uncomfortable topics, these things that maybe aren't always easy for us to open up around the table, but the fact that we're able to do so without the fear of rejection, without the fear of reprisal or strong reactions, help us to continue that health within the four walls, let's say. That's my reply. Thank you. Ya'tikum al-afiyah wa assalamu alaikum. It was really nice to be here.
David, interesting what you said. Dr. Brian, would you like to expand on these points?
Yeah, I think that's a great point of the importance of having those open shared spaces. I'd add two quick pieces to it. One is I think that needs to start early in the homes, earlier than most parents think. And I think it has to involve, like you said, these uncomfortable conversations. It has to involve learning. It has to start with a foundation as parents and as families about what do we want the foundation of our family to be based on. And that has to continue. It's not one conversation, it's many. Parents have to create spaces in their home where these conversations are ongoing. Yeah, it can be during the meals, it can be as we're getting up, it can be as we're going to bed. Whatever those family rituals are, those conversations need to happen and they need to be ongoing. I think the other thing I would add, and this is a great litmus test for the parents in the room, is to ask when my child comes across something that AI has told it or something on social media that they find objectable or they find is questioning or find that is challenging, who is the first person they go to? Do they go back to the AI? Do they go to a friend? Or hopefully, do they come to their parents? Do they come to a sibling? I think that's a great test to ask ourselves. And if the answer is no, then I think that's a great opportunity as parents and as families to say, what can we be doing? What can we be creating so that there's not a fear of being challenged by new information, but the primary place where we dissect and discuss and come to terms and agreement on what to do with this new information is the home and is the family and is led by the parents.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brian. And now I would like to invite each of you to share a key recommendation in 1 minute. What is the most important advice would you offer to parents today? Let's start in this order. Dr. David, Dr. Brian, Dr. Said, Dr. Mariam, please.
أنا دائما الأول. I have to give the rough draft response. A 1 minute message, I think, is very much what has been the theme of our discussion, is communication. We can have the Internet of Things in our household. Everything is technologically enabled. You can change the temperature of your house before you even think it. These are all wonderful and will continue to be ever-present aspects of our lives. But investing in sort of the soft skills aspect of that relationship within your family, with your children, again, encouraging that trust-based communication. And I think, as you mentioned, Dr. Brian, the litmus test of saying, when it's hard, does it still succeed? Do we still have those spaces? And that's not easily done. It's not done in a day or a week. It's something that's built over time, continuously. And as I think you said, it starts actually quite a bit earlier than maybe most of us think it needs to.
I think what I would say is that continuing education is a requirement of modern parenting, meaning that parents have to be constantly active in their educational efforts to learn about new technologies. We're talking a lot about AI, but as was mentioned in the opening session, there will probably be something else in the coming years and coming decades. And parents now have to continue to educate themselves about these tools, about what their children are doing, so that they have the skill set and they have the language in order to converse and educate with their children.
And this is the role of IDRAK, maybe. Can we join at this age or just for children, IDRAK?
No, IDRAK actually positions itself as 18 and above. So the greatest sort of cross-section of our users are from the 18 to 25, so sort of university student age. So طبعا لا أهلا وسهلا.
Thank you so much. Dr. Said, please.
I think Mr. David and Dr. Brian, they mentioned, especially when they answer about the strategies, they mentioned most of it. But I would like just to highlight one study has been conducted by MIT researchers. Basically, they have participants, they put them in a room without any internet connection, without any devices, and they give them 3 problems to be solved. And they did the same to the other participants, but they give them access to the ChatGPT, to the AI, to everything. And they basically measure the EEG to see the brain activities. After they solve each problem, they measure that activities. They found that the team who has no access on AI or anything, the brain activity was activated and the cognitive skills was triggered. But the other teams, there were no any activities or any signal. What they did at the second phase, the people who didn't use the AI, they put them again in another room and they ask, use now the AI. And the people who did not use, who used the AI, they put them in that room and they prevent from the AI. When they again do the same, they found the people who already use the thinking skill, still the brain is active. But the people who did use the AI at the beginning, at the second was the same, was not active. That one doesn't mean parents in this era, they are not rule settings. I mean, generally the parents, they just put rules. Now it's not anymore. Now the parents, they need to be critical thinking coaches. They need to attend workshops, the training, that's now very important. From the community, institution, to develop programs to parents. Second, the AI play with the attentions. They make everyone addict to what you watch, what you do. Now the parents, they need to be the co-regulators for this one. They need to compete with that to bring the children attention to the parents, not only to the AI.
I would say something, but because for the interest of time, based on what you said, Dr. Said, yeah, I think the behavior of parents, it will be depending on the children age group. I think it has different also. Each group they will accept something and they will refuse something. So their behavior or behavior of parents and the guidance of parents differs based on their children group intervals also. Dr. Mariam, please, we are interested.
هلا عشان نحل هالموضوع إنه لازم مو بس الأسرة والمدارس والمجتمع كله، إنها كلها تتحد مع بعض عشان تحل هالموضوع. إنه يكون في نشر وعي أكثر، تكون في مبادرات مجتمعية أكثر، إن الأب ياخذ مثلا ولده مثلا للمجالس على أساس إنه يسمع من كبار السن والموجودين، ياخذ من أفكارهم وشي. مو مشكلة، خليه يستخدم الذكاء الاصطناعي بس في نفس الوقت يحافظ على هويته، يحافظ على يعني ما يتخلى عن العادات والتقاليد وكل شيء، يسمع من كبار السن، من الضيوف اللي بيقابلهم. تكون قاعدة أكثر مثلا في رمضان والعيد، البنت إذا كانت رافضة إنها تطلع مع أمها مثلا عند جدتها بيت جدتها ومكان، لا تقول لها لا تعالي، على أساس إنه ما يكون بس تسمع من الاي اي وفي نفس الوقت ما تحافظ على هويته. فهاي
share in family communication. That's very valuable insight. Thank you so much. Thank you all to all our panelists for a rich and engaging discussion. At this point, we would like to hear from our audience and open the floor for their questions and reflections. Please, who has a question? Please feel free to participate.
Hi, thank you. How do you, what are there studies about how to work with very resistant children? Okay, you want to raise resilient families, but what are best practices about working with kids that think that you just know nothing and don't want to have anything to do with you're trying to train them, okay, on how to use social media or things like that?
Did you catch it?
Most of it, but I think it's mostly for you. Basically, like, what are like the actionable tools? Okay, so it's great that there should be resilient families and communication, all this, but like, okay, tomorrow in practice, what's that look like?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's totally fine. I think kind of tying some of the themes that we talked about and getting a little bit more specific, I think digital literacy for parents is key, and sometimes that is fairly simple. And I'll give you an example. Most parents, I would argue today, when it comes to something like ChatGPT, their primary concern is my kid cheating in school using it, which is a valid concern, but they have no idea that a large language model like ChatGPT that is pulling things into their home, for example, has the ability to be a romantic companion to their 12-year-old. It has the ability to be programmed to have emotional conversations with a 12-year-old. Most parents are unaware of that capability as a large language model. And so they need a very basic 101 understanding of these AI tools. I think that's really critical. I think even as something as simple as a passive technology like filtering and parental controls, most parents have a very basic understanding of how to implement good parental controls on the devices of their children. And so I think we can do a lot of good on an application level with some very basic things that maybe some of us that are in this space take for granted, but your average parent is struggling with. I think that's a really key on the ground, what can we do tomorrow type of answer, is to say we need just really basic 101 information for parents who already feel overwhelmed by technology. I think many parents are very passive with their parenting, with their children and teenagers, not because they don't care, but because they feel overwhelmed and don't know where to start. And so maybe that's a better way to summarize what I just said, is they need the starting point. They need to know the answer to that question, which is, where do I start? I think we can give them the starting point, give them the basic information to say, here's how you start implementing parental controls. Here's what actually ChatGPT is capable. Here's what you should be watching out for. Here's what are some of the security concerns that are important to understand and teach your children when it comes to sharing their personal information. Here's how TikTok works. Whatever it is, that's, I think, one of the first places that we can start.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brian. Any more questions? Yeah, please.
Okay, hi.
You come near me.
I wrote my question. Okay, how do we protect the next generation from becoming followers of technology instead of creators of it? How can we protect our children to be not to be followers or just users for technology?
Rather than creators of technology?
Like the opposite. How can we prevent them from being just...
How can we make them not followers, to be creator, impactful leaders?
This is for Dr. Mariam.
Yeah, for all of them.
اوكي. كيف ان نساعد اطفالنا في المستقبل انهم يكونوا بدل ما يتلقوا التكنولوجي يكونوا صناع للتكنولوجي. يعني anyone can answer.
That's basically a good question. Children, they always like to explore.
Yeah.
So now the parents, if they reject using the AI, it becomes a challenge for children. I want to use the AI tools. So what generally the best? How we can challenge the children to create. For example, let's say I'm here in UAE. I can maybe ask my kid that, could we generate, for example, an app that related to the Emirates heritage? How, for example, I can have an application, it tells me the subjects in Emirati's accent that I understand the heritage. And the best that, according to the literature, according to the researchers, you need always to discuss with your children about the outcomes of AI and take the positive and negative. So, and start to discuss. For example, let's ask the ChatGPT about X and Y, and let's analyze, is that really correct? Is this is wrong? So in that way, they're gonna know it's not always true, it's not always false. Yes, sometimes I can use it, sometimes I don't need to use it. I know how it can enhance my power. I know how it can enhance my skills, enrich my information. So it's very important because this is a very honestly trust. I would say trust relations. Meaning, now the children they start to lose the trust with their parents. So they
Exactly.
say AI, it can listen to me without nagging or without complaining or without saying, yelling at me. So I can say what is inside me. So if the trust built, so the children, they know that, no, I will talk to my parents, they will listen to me, they will understand that one. So to me, I think parents, they need to be well educated about the AI, that they have same level with children to discuss and to argue with them and to show them what is correct, what is not correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, keeping the trust. That's very important.
Thank you so much. It's need discussion and awareness from the parents.
Also,
Exactly.
we have IDRAK platform, learning platform, which also teaches millions of learners and families how to use the digital.
والله بألف شكر ستي. You're doing a great job raising awareness about إدراك. يعني we should bring you in.
Thank you for all of you. We
Thank you.
are really gratitude for coming here. Grateful, sorry, for coming here and listening
Thank
to
you
you.
for your
Thank
question. Any more question, our dear audience?
Can you hear me? Sort of. Okay. So I'm the parent of some teenagers, and I feel like privacy is something I'm trying to figure out with them. Where do I give them privacy with technology? You know, kind of like not reading their journal. You know, what about messages they're having with a friend at school, or what they're searching ChatGPT search engine history, you know, things like that.
So I think as parents, we need to think about how we manage other things in terms of our teenagers as they prepare for adulthood. Think about driving a car, right? Think about how we teach them step by step how to do that with us first. We explain some of the basic principles. Maybe we're in a parking lot, we're in simple streets. And eventually that is designed so that at some point we can send you out in an automobile by yourself. And I think we have to think about these technologies, online technologies, social media, in the same way. And just like each child is going to be different when it comes to their independence around an automobile, their independence with moving out of the home, each child's going to be a little bit different with how we build towards autonomy and independence with their social media use, with their online technology. But I think we have to think about it as a process. There's not, I think, any magic age or magic line where we say, okay, now I'm going to stop monitoring you. I would argue that as a child's in your home, there probably is no moment where you're not monitoring at some level their technology use. But I do also have to think about how can I help socialize you and teach you the skills that you need so that when you do leave the home and you do have your phone and it's not monitored anymore, that you are able to have healthy skills and you are able to have a healthy sense of boundaries and you're able to manage your own behavior. And so I think that's where parenting is more challenging, but I'll give you another specific example. I think parents across generations have said, I'm going to monitor when you go to this person's house a little bit different than this person's house because I know what that person's family or that friend that I trust a little bit more than this one. I think to answer a question like, well, when and how do I monitor my children's text messages and who they interact with, I would say take the same logic. Well, maybe it depends on who they're talking to. Maybe there's some friends and contacts that I feel comfortable and I don't need to monitor as much. Maybe there's a certain friend where I do need to keep monitoring your interactions with that person. I think it goes back to what we talked about in the panel, that if we have ongoing space in our family to have these conversations about rules and boundaries with social media, with online technology, then hopefully there can also be that space to say, hey, we're going to regularly reevaluate and think about our rules that I'm giving you as a parent. We're going to regularly have ongoing conversations about how it's being monitored and regulated, with the idea that I will give you hopefully more and more freedom and more autonomy over time as that privilege is earned. But that doesn't mean that I'm ever going to necessarily let the reins loose and let you off into the Wild West until you leave the home, because that's part of my job as a loving parent, is to constantly be that teacher and overseer of what you're doing. And so I think having a more nuanced individualized approach that takes each one of those decisions and thinks about them carefully for each child is really what's needed in today's world.
Thank you.
So much. Yeah, please.
I need also to add, especially about the privacy, the problem that I noticed, many of us, we are not aware about the privacy laws. So we need to teach our children what are the privacy acts. Like in UAE, there are many privacy acts about how you can share your personal information, your bank informations, or even the other things. So that's very important. So when they are aware of, they're gonna think twice before they upload the pictures to the ChatGPT or upload their passports to the ChatGPT. I think awareness is very important in this direction, especially about the privacy acts. The other good exercise that I read about it, some parents in USA, what they do, they create an account for their children on ChatGPT and they ask them to use it for 2 weeks. And then there is a prompt where it asks ChatGPT about the personality of one who used that ChatGPT. Then they start to know, oh my God. So for some parents, they found their children, they have anxieties or they have depression, where they were not fully aware of that. So that's the other side where we can work with AI to help us to know more about children. Sometimes children, they are really panicked to share something inside them. So we can do that. I mean, so I think we need the most important exercise. We are not against AI, but we need how to use it wisely. I think that's important.
Thank you so much, Dr. Said. Any more questions? A lot.
I'm so sorry. I'll be really quick, and it's on a different thread. I'm curious from...
Please raise your voice.
Okay, I'm going to hold it so I don't scream in your guys' ear. I'm going to shout for them. From an academia point of view, and kind of bringing it to like the tolerance conference that we're seeing today, I'm curious of the tools that you guys are seeing to highlight a lot of the religious overlap for I have a like going into teenage years, a daughter who thinks I don't understand her and why she doesn't want to participate in tolerance, or that, you know, she's so different from other people at school, or she's left out because she doesn't believe X, Y, or Z. And I'm curious from an academic point of view, are there tools being created or tested for this kind of not letting intolerance filter into society, and how academia is helping to incorporate or facilitate those type of tools, and how do we access them as parents to help create that space for them to understand how much overlap and that there are so many people who do understand them. That was long. Sorry.
Who can answer this question?
Those working in academia, I think at the center of the panel here.
That's a very hard question, in a way that if someone, let's say, ask me, what is the best AI tool to do research? I mean, to do literature review, for example. Yes, I can recommend based on my experience. But to this moment, we don't have any rubrics or metrics to assess the AI tools. However, there is one website. That website, it does a nice job. It creates a card. That card mentions features about this AI tool. For example, does this AI tool require any PII, personal information identification, yes or no? How many they use this one? Is this tool used by institutions worldwide? That could give you an indication, is a really good one. So generally, the easy way, take the question the other way around. If you need to use a tool, then search about that tool. Okay, that would be easier. But the problem, if you need to recommend which tool A or B or C, that's still hard. I mean, we don't have really a common rubrics or metrics to assess the tools. It depends. Are you looking for which one? Privacy things is maybe not a concern. Accuracy, free, not free. You know, everyone has different point of view. I mean, how you are looking for that. Yeah. But what I can say, the researchers, they are working on that. And they try to find really a common metrics. How I can say this tool better than the other one or no? Yeah.
I think. Okay. Can you allow us with one more question, please? Please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Can you raise your voice, please?
ما يسمع؟ اطلع الهنا ولا شو؟
ممكن تتكلمين يعني بصوت عالي.
بصوت عالي. باللغة العربية ممكن اتكلم؟ تترجمي لهم؟
تفضل.
اوكي. انا سؤالي انه بالمدارس، في المدارس يعني في توعية مثلا للأطفال وكذا عن مخاطر الاي اي والسوشيال ميديا وكذا.
Is there in the schools awareness for the students against the AI disadvantages or the and community institutions, I believe. Only schools or any community institutions?
بس بالمدارس؟
لا ايوه بالمدارس، ما هو المكان الوحيد يعني اللي بيتجمع ايوه كتوعية من المعلمين من المدراء كذا يعني.
Can I answer in English or yeah?
No. Speak عربي.
عربي؟ بقدر أجاوب بالعربي ولا
بالعربي؟ لغة عربية. أيوه.
مثلا وزارة التربية والتعليم
خلصنا خلص.
الإمارات.
لا خلصنا دكتورة خلص.
وزارة التربية والتعليم في دولة الإمارات أصبحت مادة الذكاء الاصطناعي أساسية يمكن أظن من العام الأول إلى أظن إلى الهاي سكول. وفي نقطة كثير مهمة لطلاب الصف السابع 7 جريد. أنا شفت الكتاب علموهم الديب فيك اللي هو كيف احنا ممكن نعمل الفيديوهات المزيفة أو الأصوات المزيفة. فهذا دليل لما الطفل أو يعني الستودنت في الصف السابع بدأ يسمع في شيء اسمه ديب فيك، هذا شيء صراحة يعني exactly. فموجود منهاج وبيعلم وبيوعي الطلبة. نعم.
أيوة. بيوعيهم كمان، بيوريهم المخاطر تبع بيوضحوا لهم صح؟
موجود بالضبط المخاطر وأمثلة على هذه الأمور.
تمام.
Finally, I would like once again to thank our distinguished panelists for sharing their experience, knowledge, and thoughtful reflections on this important topic. And I would also like to thank our audience for their engagement and participation. Thank you all once again for being with us today. Enjoy the rest of the conference and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.